Welcome back, folks. As promised, today we're going to have a first proper look into Oblivion Remastered, which has been labeled more as a remake with the amount of work that has been done, because the entire game has been ported onto Unreal Engine 5 for graphical fidelity, but the core of the game, or how it feels, is pretty much Creation Engine. And Bethesda went into details about why they call this a remaster, and that's because they really didn't want to change what Oblivion was or how it played, but rather elevate the graphics and things they felt needed rework like animations and so on, which we will talk about in detail. They were not wrong, as playing the game I did feel like it's Creation Engine, because everything feels like the original. It's actually hard to describe if you never played before, but all of the things are one-to-one. Even some quirky bugs and just general craziness of NPCs, which we've had back in the original. I honestly cannot even believe how long this took, because getting all of these things to work in Unreal Engine 5 and to feel the same, this actually required a lot of work. So first off, when it comes to gameplay, most of the things are pretty much as you remember them. You leave the sewers and head on over into the world where, as it is with Bethesda games, you pretty much have the freedom to do whatever you want. This also means that NPC density within cities and around it, the way they speak and move, remains the same. On the graphical side, a lot of things have changed, as they leverage UE5 tech to have sharper textures, dynamic light, and pretty much everything got used to from games these days. This also means that you will need a better PC to run all of this, and they are asking for 2080 or 6800 XT, but I ran this on 1440p with high settings on my 3070 Ti and 5800X with DLSS on quality. Performance wise, it was okay, although I noticed that in some open world areas that's where I had some stuttering and general frame rate drops, while the rest of the game, or just smaller dungeons or cities themselves, ran without any issues. Keep in mind, this is with the latest Nvidia driver available. So I think in general they should really tighten up the frame rate drops in open areas, because I don't really think it has to do something with high settings I played around, you know. I changed stuff to low and it doesn't seem to matter all that much, so if the location has a frame rate drop, it will have a frame rate drop regardless on what settings you play, which indicates to me at least that it's not my 3070 Ti struggling to run this on 2K, which, I mean, it's definitely getting there. 8GB of VRAM is showing its size of please no more, but overall I think it has to do more with the game itself. As far as crashing goes, I also didn't notice any, but I have been watching some people play on Twitch and YouTube Live, and they had crashes here and there, which, when you think about it, is in line with the original Oblivion. When I tell you they recreated the same bugs, I wasn't joking. I can only vouch for a PC version of the game though. I didn't try console versions yet, and as far as Steam Deck is concerned, some of the first reports I have seen is that in smaller areas, you know, it's okay, while in bigger open world areas the problem spills over, meaning that it won't give you good frame rate. But you can also let me know down below about your experience on both consoles and Steam Deck. On the gameplay side though, we have seen changes when it comes to animations from both fighting and walking or running. They even added sprinting now, which wasn't the case before, but I'm glad, you know, it's there, because, well, it actually is nice. Although sprinting animation in game tends to be a bit goofy, actually the way like they over sprint reminds me of Dragon's Dogma for some reason, pretty similar to it. But this change is welcoming, as it makes it easier to navigate the world until you get a horse. Combat wise, first off, we see that swinging has new animations, so like just using a sword or something like that is going to feel a lot better. On the bow and arrow side, it's pretty much the same, so you have to account in for length, as arrows won't fly in a straight line, which brings back some memories of trick shots people did. Same with magic spells, of course. They have different SFX in both visual and audio side, so they look better, and as you fight and cross swords, you will now see sparks, blood, or just splatters in general, elevating the experience without changing the main idea of it. Enemies you fight will have more animations themselves, So as they move, you will see sort of like the entire body move rather than, you know, being stiff like in the original title. But the same ragdoll stuff still applies. They will still do some funny moves. On the scaling side, I mean, I swear it's like the original, so stealth will be extremely powerful as that multiplier melts stronger enemies and pretty much everyone, and I'm pretty sure as you level up you will see bandits with much better gear all of a sudden, so glass armor and all of that, which is pretty much going to stay the same. Speaking of gear, all armor and weapon pieces have been redone in terms of texture quality, but they remain the same. They look really good. Just the Imperial Guard armor, like the gold ones, look phenomenal in game now, as you can see. This also revolves around weapons themselves, so stronger weapons, better weapons, they're going to just look insane. As everyone else, I pretty much went into the arena straight away to see how that feels, and it's the same. I really like that, plus it seems that even betting fights, you know, the outcome I remember of picking the blue team first meant they will win, which is no surprise because when you put the entire creation engine logic into the game, or well, into this sport, especially Oblivion logic, this is what you get. Bethesda also recorded more voice lines for different races because they didn't have enough space on the original disc, so you won't have one guy voicing like 30 people anymore, which is a very positive thing if you ask me, although the original charm still remains. Faces look insanely better now, both from the character creation perspective, which is as it was before, so yes, you can make some unhinged characters, but just like the quality of it, like, is really well done. I mean, Khajiit and Argonians look much better than they did in the original, and just playing around with those settings was a lot of fun. Plus, people you meet throughout the game, faces are pretty much the same, like model wise, but just updated with the same voice lines, so you don't have to worry about existing characters and actors, they are there as they were. Bethesda also used the new lip sync tech, which means when they speak, their muscles will move more and it will look more natural, although expect some tomfoolery with eyes, that I've seen some really psychotic looks when they start looking around, which I mentioned before, but this will have meme potential. Map size is the same, as you can see, with 2 expansions being in the game, so Shivering Isles and Knights of the Nine, and they are in the base remaster game, so you don't need a deluxe edition for that if you were wondering. I mean, deluxe edition is art book, soundtrack, and I believe it or not, horse armor, because why not? I mean, we went full circle. Even, you know, the originals like horse armor DLC is in the game, not counting the ones from deluxe. I mean, it's good that expansions are included and they are not left out, you know, for some more expensive version of the game, because, you know, this being 50 or 60 with the deluxe, I mean, turned to be a really good idea, because even with Game Pass, even with consoles, on Steam last night we got to 182,000 players, with the weekend approaching where I expect probably the highest all-time peak, but let's see where it goes. On the modding side though, there is no official modding support for Oblivion Remastered, keep that in mind, but mods are still pretty much arriving right now as we speak, so I wouldn't be surprised if modders of course find a way to implement as many mods as possible. Leveling wise, it's pretty much similar to Oblivion, although they use some systems from Skyrim when it comes to certain abilities and so on to blend it in more, but in general, I mean, you level up, you know, different stuff from your armor, blocking, alchemy, or whatever you use, to a point where your, you know, bar fills up, where you go to sleep, you end up meditating, and then increase those attributes more, so that system is pretty much as it was. General UI is kinda the same as you remember it, but icons and just stuff you browse around has been made more clear, so it's easier to navigate in general. They have some stuff like no zoom in when you speak to NPCs, and just stuff here and there to enhance the experience and things you can play around with in settings. Same with minigames, I mean, lockpicking, persuasion, and the rest is pretty much kept the same, like the original. On the bugs and glitches side, I have definitely seen some. You know, besides the one from the original, I'm mostly referring to new bugs and glitches caused in this particular version of the game, with even AI sometimes being weird, which I don't remember from before, like straight up ignoring you sometimes when it shouldn't. That was weird. But look, overall my experience of the remaster is very positive. Doing this the way they did, using UE5 to increase the graphics while leaving the core game as it was, of course the logic of the game more like, means that this is good for veterans, because as I play this, it's honestly like I imagined it looked before when I played it for the first time, This seems like a heavily modded Oblivion, but instead of gazillion mods, it's all one package. Plus, they really need to just fix up the performance in general, and I think the rest is going to be pretty much the same, but to be honest, I expected a lot more issues with having UE5 and Oblivion in the same sentence, which didn't really happen. And going into this release with a shadow drop, although we knew about it because, well, of the leaks, but just having the game here, right now, without 3 years of marketing and waiting, to see if it's good or not, is great. They started this project in 2021, so imagine if they announced it back then, we would be waiting for a long time. I do have a smile on my face revisiting all of these locations, because even though I played this a lot, it's still been a while, so I forgot some of these small details. But nostalgia is really strong with this one, and I read that, some don't like that they kept the formula as it was, to which I mean, okay, but let's face it, I feel like if they started experimenting, it would lose its original charm, plus I don't know how it would work properly, but we cannot know until something like that is actually out. All in all, I do recommend this, especially because you have it on Game Pass, so you can try it out to see if it's for you. I will have more videos about Oblivion, so stay tuned for that, and that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching, I'm very interested to hear your opinions below, and as always, subscribe if you enjoyed this and check us out on Twitter and Discord. Huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and as always, stay classy everyone. Bye bye.